There's one story that I want to jump into immediately as we bring in Matthew Barnaby from Ottawa, host of the Matthew Barnaby Unfiltered podcast and a famed NHL pugilist. Look at that backdrop. How you doing, Barney?
I'm good. I thought you were bringing. You said the big dongers.
Right. Hey, just start all over with that story. What we got was Pittsburgh and Florida. Take it from there.
Yeah, it was in Pittsburgh, and I wasn't playing very much, and went into Florida. I knew I was going to have to flight Peter Worrell at the time, and usually you want to get these things over really quickly, but for me, I had to wait till like middle way through the second period to get into our fight. So I fight Peter Worrell. Anyone that knows Big Pete is 6'6", 260, and laid an absolute beating on me. So coming off the ice, I'm pissed off. I'm pissed off that I lost the fight, but I'm also pissed off that my coach didn't let me get into this fight early into the game and really get started. So I'm coming off the ice, and a fan around 70 years old just leans right over about an inch away from my face and starts calling me the P word. So I'm not in a great mood. To start with, I got a cut under my eye, and I kind of reach out and I grab the fan and I kind of pull him over the railing. Now, this was before there was any of the tunnels that came in when you're on visiting road where the visitors come out. So I grab the guy, pull him over. I get fined. I get suspended. It's funny, I lose about $60,000 for something so stupid. But about 3 years later, the guy reaches out to me and says, "Hey, I feel like I owe you a dinner. Anytime you're in Florida, give me a call and I'll take you out to dinner." I declined.
Great. Well, by the way, you told me that your wife has a running tally of how much money you've paid the NHL in fines. What is that?
It was $264,000. Now that I'm divorced, it's a lot easier to get over losing $264,000.
Probably lost a lot more money in that than to the NHL. Anyways, I hope the sound's coming through. Oh, this is great. All these stories continue to flood. Barney, it's been a while since you played. What was your last year? 08?
Yeah, 07, 08.
There's a real market for fight stories. Like, you should see our comment board going nuts just with your stories. Like, Nelson writes in and he says, "Man, gone are the days of I knew I had to fight." Is that kind of what your podcast is all about, by the way? Just those types of stories?
It's all over the map. Like, I try to take a lot of different stuff. I take stuff from your show that I watch. Colin Coward in the United States, I love. I take a little bit of everything because I don't like to do just interviews from former players, tough guys, or just talk about fighting. I try to be diverse, but do I dive into the old fighting stories? Absolutely, 100%. I love them. I miss them. And I know that fans out there want to hear about stuff that happens or that happened. And yeah, it's certainly different now. I would love to play in the game this day and age where I don't have to worry about fighting, and I could have napped a lot better in the afternoons.
I got a million questions for you, but what people love, by the way, about this show is the live component and being able to ask you guys questions. So one of our viewers wants to know, what led to your longtime feud with Lyle Odelin, proud Saskatchewan boy?
Yeah, I love Lyle. It's funny, I'm in a group chat right now with Colby Armstrong, who's in South Carolina right now. So a little pissed off at Colby, the Sasky boy. But Lyle Odelin, we just hated each other right from the start. My first game was in the old Forum. He was with Montreal. I was with Buffalo. I was 19 years old. And we ended up going at it. And from that day forward, it didn't matter what team I played for. We ended up fighting. I didn't fight anyone more than him. Absolutely hated him. Got into a verbal jarring match with him when I played with Pittsburgh, calling him Cornelius because I thought he was ugly and thought he looked like Cornelius from Planet of the Apes. But funny you say that because I actually talked to him yesterday, and he will be on my podcast in the coming weeks. The one guy I've always wanted to interview, not Wayne Gretzky or Mario Lemieux or some of the Hall of Famers that I've had, but Lyle Oderline in a couple of weeks will be on Unfiltered with Matthew Barnaby.
Wow, that's unbelievable. And speaking of hate, by the way, I was talking to Grimmer not that long ago, and I told him that you want to bury the hatchet. And Grimmer said, I'm just pushing his buttons. He goes, I don't hate Barney. Can you tell him I don't hate Barney? So if you get that, right?
Thank you.
Yeah, actually.
Grimmer's the best.
Yeah, he is.
I'd rather fight Grimmer now that he's lost about 60 pounds.
There's not much to him anymore. You're right. And speaking of all that, you're not a real big man, Barney. I'm going to talk about our night in Arcola in a second here. What are you, 6'1"? What are you doing fighting Peter Worrell at 6'6" or Grimmer at 6'6"?
Yeah, it's funny because I'm a big UFC guy. I love boxing, and everyone always says, you got the crap kicked out of you with these guys. I'm like, yeah, I was fighting up like 9 weight categories, like weight classes. Like I was about 190 when I played, ballooned to about 210 when I stopped playing, and since quarantine back down to that 190 range. But yeah, I probably should have stayed in my own weight category. The problem was guys 185 to 195 wouldn't fight me, so I had to go up to the other heavyweights and then the super heavyweights with the Worrells and obviously the Fedorics and Grim Reapers. So I'll get into a verbal jarring match with the guys like Kelly Chase or those guys, but certainly I don't even want to get into one of those with Stu Grimson. He's a lawyer, man.
Right. Well, and by the way, so we go to Arcola to do this dinner. Arcola or Carlisle, they're neighboring communities. Which one was it? I think maybe it was Carlisle.
Arcola.
Arcola. That's what I thought. So we walk into the hall. First thing, Barney, and as friend Andre Wass say to the guy putting on the dinner is, what can we get away with? What stories? What can we say? What's offside? And the guy said, we had Mike Commodore here last year. There's nothing you could say that would offend people more than Mike Commodore did last year. So go nuts. And he was recently on your podcast. So how did that go?
He was awesome. He's a great guy. He's very smart. He's very funny, but he's an open book, like I am, like Andre is. He's going to tell you the stories. He's going to tell you that he despises Mike Babcock. He's going to tell you that that he got drunk at a bar and got in a fight and wrestled. We got into that, but Mike's just brutally honest. He loves to have fun. Loves sports, and he loves stories. He loves people. So I loved having him on. He's a good friend, and when this quarantine breaks, I'm certainly going out to visit him out west, in Calgary.
What do you got lined up for guests on your show, by the way?
In the next 2 weeks, we have PJ Stock, Lyle Oderline, Thurman Thomas, and a couple pending. So I got my mom coming on too tomorrow. So we gotta play a couple games, bang, kill, marry with her, and find out how her Tinder profile is at 80 years old.
I love it. Where? By the way, speaking of that, I honestly could listen to your stories all day, and I know how close you are with your mom. Heard that story, single mom raising you, and has made you as tough as you are. I'd like to meet her one day, by the way. But you kind of got into some Chicago stories that night, and we're going to have to roll here right away because John Lou's standing by. But have you watched The Last Dance on the Bulls? You must. Do you want to get into your times with Dennis Rodman, or would you rather not?
No, I'll go quickly. And John, I can promise John, and I'm sure he's listening right now, he's going to be much better dressed than I am. One of the best dressed guys out there, and one of the great reporters in the game and class people. But yeah, in Chicago, I'll make a long story short. Anyone that watched The Last Dance last night met with Michael Jordan's right-hand guy, George, who was on the show that was supposed to pick up Jordan's dad, who never obviously showed up and was murdered right after they found out. But I went out with Brad May and Rob Ray and Dennis Rodman, Chris Chelios. Someone slipped something in my drink, we've all been intoxicated. I know I have. I haven't had drinks in 2 months, but I was probably a little overserved that night. But long story short, I ended up pooping my pants in the middle of the cab with 5 guys around me, and showing up to my hotel room with poop dripping down my back end and no pants on, just dress shoes, and it was rough getting my key with no ID and some poop dripping down. So have a great Tuesday, everyone.
At least it was a dumpy hotel, right? Not a classy Chicago hotel.
The drink, yeah, just where all the presidents and prime ministers stay.
All right. So that's what you can look forward to on Unfiltered, Matthew Barnaby's podcast. Barney, thanks. Keep in touch, my man. Stay safe.
Hey, keep up the awesome work. And sorry if the video didn't work great today, but we'll fix that. Keep up the awesome work.
It's good. The main point is him. Don't worry about the video. Don't bet on the jockey. Bet on the horse. He's the jockey.
You're watching Rod Pedersen On Demand. For more of The Rod Pedersen Show, visit rodpedersen.com or follow Rod Pedersen on social media.